You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about growing through what you go through. And wow, I mean, sometimes that is a lot easier said than done, that growing part and being patient about it, but it's actually true. It's kind of funny when we go through things, situations, and we get outside of our comfort zone, we naturally do grow. And that's an exciting part of this journey of life, but we always have to weather the storms to get there. I also know that when we put together these shows, we intentionally find guests that we feel are great examples of our theme. And our inspirational guest coming up in our next segment, Kelly Kirk, really has grown beyond all comfort zones that he even tried to put in place for himself. And with so many losses, he grew big time from those losses. So I won't give it away, but really one that you want to hear. And we want to make sure also that you do plug into all of our social medias. We're on everything: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you name it. And we really always try to meet you where you are in your motivational journey. So if audios and videos are your thing, we got those platforms. We also have a lot of great writing that we do, articles that we publish. I write for Entrepreneur all the time. Again, we just want to make sure that you really are out there living full out and that we give you the tools and resources to do just that. Now, I am getting word from our producer that we do have a listener on the line. We're going to go say hi. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hello.
Hi, how can I help you?
Yes, I do have a question. I was just wondering, how in the world do I start a family in this crumbling economy? I don't really have a support system, and I don't know where to start.
Oh, it's a good question. How old are you?
I am 28.
28. So you got time, but not like abundant time, right?
Yes, exactly.
You know, one of the things, gosh, I'm in my 40s, right? So if I could go back and like be you, 28 you, you know, the great thing is there are a lot of really great resources out there. And I'm just going to give a real big shout out to so many nonprofits that are trying to cure this exact question that you're asking. And so sometimes we think, okay, how do I raise a family in this wild economy and like the uncertainty of the world? Well, you have to kind of look, first of all, in your local area, but sometimes even national associations can really give great resources. Sometimes we have to look at life in a business way. If we go only with emotion, sometimes we can lose time. Sometimes we can almost over debate. But if you kind of look at, okay, raising a family, starting a family, like the business of the family, and you're the CEO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like if you were going to start a business, you have to do some research and you have to put together a plan. And just like in business, nothing ever quite goes to plan. So, be prepared for those unexpecteds. But that is how I would approach this situation. And in a business plan for any company, and this is going to be the business plan of your family, future family, you want to look at finances. You want to look at medical. So medically, are you and your partner, all systems go, it's going to be pretty easy to get pregnant or not, because that's a consideration, right? So then you think about, okay, what might that look like in terms of having our own kids, fostering, adopting, surrogate, freezing my eggs. There's so many options on the table. Then when you know that, and you know the potential of that, then you backtrack to, okay, what would that, in a perfect world, how many kids would we want to have, and what would that timing be? And then you think about, okay, how much would it cost at each phase of having these children? Like, what does that toddler, kiddo, infant phase look like? Gosh, what is the cost of like private versus public school? Where are we now with college? How much is a car? Just How much are sports, extra activities? If you have a son or a daughter, what might they play? And
Mm-hmm.
it seems daunting, but it's actually helpful. It's not perfect. The numbers are not going to be to the T, but it's a guide. And then you can kind of figure out, okay, got all that. And then you want to look like in your local area, like what is available. And every state is different. So when somebody is a single parent or young parents, or if you're a senior, or if you have a disability, truly every state is different in what they offer. But there's plenty of programs for you, for young and new moms and single moms. But there's also a lot of support for couples that are younger, couples that, are having a hard time having kids. Like there's just so
Mm-hmm.
much. So consider putting together that plan. That's like the number one I would do. Number two,
Mm-hmm.
I don't, do you have an iPhone?
I have an Android.
You have an Android. Okay. I don't know what the equivalent version is, but I'll share with you. I love going on my Apple, my iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
and listening to Apple Podcast. And one of the things that I think is really exciting about that, and you could just look at podcasts in general, any platform you want, but that's the one I use. And what's exciting about that is just the different categories. So I wonder if you were to immerse yourself in podcasts dedicated to parenting, raising children. And I wonder in those podcasts, even if they would be giving tips, suggestions. I did this. Consider that. And then lastly, it's finding as many others like you as you can. So if you don't have the kiddos yet, it's going into Facebook, LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest. Like they all have groups. And you can start mingling with others who are in the same place that you are. And again,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the best resources are just word of mouth. And so, have you tried any of those?
I have tried looking into groups, and everybody seems to have their own way of doing things, and it's really hard to figure out which one would be right for me. And so I'm kind of
Give me an
lost
example.
in all of the sea of things.
Give me an example. What's an example of a tip someone gave, but you're like, I'm not sure if that's for me?
Um, I think that I've looking into charities and things like that, but I don't really know how to reach out to the charities or who to reach out to in order to get some financial support or some mental support.
hmm So,
Yeah.
the, so, so sometimes that outreach can be done through LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that outreach can be right there on their website. But I'll also teach you another tool. It's free. It's called Hunter. And my team they knows about that tool. It's a tool that you can use to look up companies, organizations of all kind, big and small, and it's free. You get 25 email lookups a month,
Mm-hmm.
and just sign up. And what I would do is I would consider those charities or organizations and try to go to Hunter, if not the web and LinkedIn, and I would just
Mm-hmm.
message them directly. And even if they're not the fit for you, it's can you crack a door for me through some other avenue? It's do you know somebody else or a different organization that might do this? And, I really give you so much credit for asking this question. It's very thoughtful because I can tell you that there's a lot of people not asking and not thinking about it. And what happens is you turn around 5 years from now. Well, not you, because you're already thinking about it, but a lot of people do. They turn around their mid-30s, and it's harder to have the kids. They might be
Right.
deeper into a career, and it's harder to unwind the web, right? And then you advance
Yes,
it
I've
another
always
five
found that
years.
it was.
You what now?
Yeah. Oh, I always found that it was hard to balance both work and trying to plan, having a family because, work takes so much time out of my day and sometimes scheduling everything is it's just a huge mess.
Well, and one of the things that some people love Google and online and some don't, but there are lists for everything. I would even look into, top companies to work for, either remote or in person, for parents. There's lists for everything, because there actually are a lot of companies that actually have a fitness facility on location. There's a lot of companies that understand the demands of new parents. So I think it's really going to be starting to also investigate which companies are in alignment with what you're shooting for. But thank you so much for asking your question. Very thoughtful, very helpful, and we wish you all the best. And for everybody else, we're going to be coming right back. Don't want to miss our interview with Kelly Kirk.
Life looks a little different. During these times, we're doing our best to keep our minds and bodies strong. And getting a flu shot helps us stay healthy, so we don't miss out on what matters. Like having game night at home. Yeah, can't do that while sick with the flu. Now imagine family movie night that your daughter can't live without. Well, that's ruined. And don't forget your uncle's socially distanced cookout. See? That's why it's important to be at our strongest. Every year, millions of people in the U.S. get the flu. Especially now, no one has time to miss out on moments that matter. So get your flu shot. Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about growing through what you go through, which sounds good. It seems easy, but it's not. And it definitely takes a lot of tenacity, focus, and sometimes heartbreaks and getting through that to get to the other side. And our inspirational guest today, Kelly Kirk, he's such a great example of living full out. So I'd like to welcome him to the show.
How are you?
Hi, happy to have you. Kelly,
Absolutely, very happy to be here.
I just gotta say, let's just say off the record that you are a stud. You really are. You're on the shorter side in life, height-wise, but you pack a lot of energy. You're positive. You're extroverted. You've done very well for yourself when it came to like sales jobs. You came from a loving family. I mean, to be really honest, to the 10th power, you really had a good first half of your life, right? And
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that's to be celebrated. Like, I love that. We have a lot of people who have a lot of tragedies early on, but I celebrate that. But boy, when you hit 39, 40, a couple of the wheels started to come off the car, not to your own doing, but just life really took you off-roading. And I know within, just so our audience knows, because gosh, I could talk to Kelly for like 2 hours, but within your early 40s, really an 18-month period, you started a gym that started to not do well. You sadly, your niece and nephew and your brother's ex-wife got murdered. Your mom died, your dad died, all health issues. And, that was 18 months. And I don't even know how someone even goes through that in such a short amount of time. I mean, that is an immense pressure. I mean, I would be like eating mac and cheese and drinking, just be like waving that white flag.
Right. There were definitely days that I felt like that. I think looking back now, and even in the moment, the amount of support that I had from the gym community, the people that belonged to my gym, and these were people that were, paying me $30, $40 a month to belong to my gym, that before this, to me, I thought were just customers. And I realized we're a lot more than that once this happened. It was just, everybody was so supportive, whether it was, in the small sense of coming in and giving me a high five or a hug and checking on me, or working out or bringing me food, or how are you doing? Just encouraging words, whatever it was. And I think that was really, really when I started to see kind of a fitness athletic community in a different light.
Well, and I want to hone in on that, right? Because out of all those tragedies, the one with the gym was really tricky, because these were friends of yours. You all had, great intentions, millionaire visions of what this gym could be like. Corporate was powerhouse, right? But at the end of the day, the friendship started to unwind just as the gym started to not do well. You ended up leaving the partnership, but ironically, you didn't want to give up on the gym. It wasn't like you were mad at the gym and you were like trying to wash your hands clean. In fact, you told corporate, hey, if it comes back around, I'd love another crack at it. That seems like another crack at pain.
Yeah, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment in retrospect. Yeah, that's when I left. I hadn't given up on my dream. That was at that point was one of my dreams. I wanted to own this gym, and I still had the visions of success. I just had a difference of opinion on how the business should be run with my two partners. So when I walked out and they kind of ended our friendship after 20, 25 years, that was hard enough to swallow, but I hadn't given up on what I wanted. As you said, I'd always been successful in other sales jobs and other stuff I've done. So in my mind, this was just one more thing for me to accomplish. But I was by no means ready to give up on it yet.
Well, when you got the call, thankfully, you had all your ducks in a row. You assumed some loans that you didn't even have to do. But unfortunately, the gym just could not get on track. It just did not have the best reputation. You didn't have a good landlord. You had a bad lease. It was like the problems of what was initial carried over to you. But you had really good members. And
yes.
But even having good members, I think a lot of times when people are failing at something, and I know you didn't really fail, a lot of it wasn't even personally you, but I'm sure it felt that way. They want to give up. Sometimes people even have suicidal ideals. What did you go through?
I definitely went through that. I mean, it was a failure. I've certainly had failures in my life. I speak, now with some of the leadership stuff that I do on learning to fail forward. So it was absolutely a failure. At that point in time, I really hadn't been through the failing forward. I just felt like I was failing. And I absolutely had times where there was literally one specific day where I remember literally laying on the floor. I had been living in my car at a rest stop, had no money, no job. The gym had ended. I didn't know where life was going to go. And I was done. I was literally just done. And the reason I ended up not going through with anything is I was actually reading old emails. And I read an old email from one of my ex-girlfriends at that time, her mom. And her mom had sent me an email after her daughter and I broke up and just talked about how I was so amazing and good with the kids and had so much patience and just all this positive stuff. And I remember reading that saying, who is she talking about? Because that's not who I feel like laying here. That's not the person that I feel like I am. And I just kept reading it over and over and over again. And it finally dawned on me. I'm like, this is what people see me as. This is who I used to see me as. What in the world happened? How do I get back to that? And I just kind of tried to flip a switch that next day. And the way I did it was by getting up and going into the gym, trying to take care of my physical, hopefully hoping that would do something for my mental afterwards.
And so when we're talking today about, growing through what you go through, was your leap at that point was that you had to physically get back on track and that would translate to your mental?
Well, I didn't know. I think what I was looking for was something I could control. Life was completely out of control. I had no place to live. I had no money. I had no job. Everything that had always been so easy for me suddenly became incredibly difficult. And I think the one thing that I knew I could control was my physical. I've always been an athlete and worked out and been into bodybuilding. And I was like, you know what? I'm 226 pounds at 5'5" and in awful physical shape. I need to control what I could control. So that was my original goal.
That's a good thing. And let's hear it for gyms because that's what they're there for, right? That's a good thing. Kelly, stay with us. There's, so much more to your story. Everybody, today, it is about looking at where you are in your life, not feeling like you're stuck, not feeling like you can't grow, but that you got to just get through it to get to the other side. If I can do it and Kelly's done it, you can too. We'll be right back.
Today in school, I learned a lot. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me. In English, I learned that I'm disgusting. And in physics, I learned that I'm a loser.
Today in school, I learned that I'm ugly and useless. And in gym, I learned that I'm pathetic and a joke. In history, I learned that I'm trash.
Today in school, I learned that I have no friends. In English, I learned that I make people sick. And at lunch, I learned that I sit on my own because I smell. In chemistry, I learned that no one likes me.
In biology,
I learned that I'm fat and stupid. And in math, I learned that I'm trash. The only thing I didn't learn in school today...
The only thing I didn't learn today...
The only thing I didn't learn...
is why no one ever helps.
Kids witness bullying every day. They want to help, but they don't know how. Teach them how to stop bullying and be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
I'm Nancy Solari, certified life and business coach. I want to invite you to the Personal Development Boot Camp. During the boot camp, we're going to be looking at taking those insecurities that you have and getting rid of them. We're also going to look at ways in which you can thrive and live a life full of purpose. Go to livingfullout.com/bootcamp, livingfullout.com/bootcamp to sign up. I believe in you, and here's to you living your life full out.
They'll challenge your authority.
Seatbelt on.
They'll try to break your will. They'll push you to the edge of your sanity. Because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, not theirs. Defend it. Who makes the payments? Who cleans it? Who drives it? You do. That's who. And in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch. Until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
7 million children suffer from asthma, more than any other chronic disease. Most asthma attacks are caused by allergic reactions to allergens, including those left behind by cockroaches and mice. In fact, 82% of U.S. households contain mouse allergens, and cockroaches are found in up to 98% of urban homes. How can you protect your family? Find out at pestworld.org. A message from the National Pest Management Association and the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association. In partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about growing through what you go through. And we're continuing our interview here with Kelly Kirk, who just is he's a stud, number one. But number two, he's just a great example of going through that fire, coming out the other side, garnishing the lessons that you can learn. So welcome back, Kelly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Kelly, the gym was a passion. It was a dream, but you have a lot of dreams. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to get to a couple more of those. But on your final days of the gym, you met Sophia Graham. And I know that she came in as a member, kind of pretending like she didn't know any of the equipment. You showed her the equipment. A friendship, maybe a little bit more, started to spark. You were leaving one relationship that just had its time and was ending and painful in its own right, but yet found yourself starting a new one with Sophia. But yet, ironically, at the same time, you're homeless and you're not you have no money. I mean, it was just a wild time of your life. But the thing about Sophia is you had a really big age difference. How much was that?
Yes, 25 years.
25 years.
25 years. Yeah.
And but yet she stood by you, she encouraged you, she wanted you to get back on your feet, get a different job, get back into, getting your pro card, back into the fitness world, because she
Yep.
was doing that as well. And, you started to romantically have feelings and you dated for some time. Life was getting back on your feet again, and you were happy, and she was happy, and you both were engaging in fitness. I mean, I'm thinking, where's my male Sophia, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
that sounds like really just like a perfect life, like great.
Yeah.
But the day came when I should say morning, when you got a call from Sophia's mom who had been visiting her. And what happened?
Sophia and I were supposed to work a bodybuilding show. We worked for the NPC, IFBB, and expedite shows backstage. We were supposed to be at a show here locally. The next morning at 7 o'clock, her mom was visiting. They were staying in a hotel together. I had talked to Sophia about 10:30, and the last thing she sent me was, "Baby, I love you. I can't wait to see you tomorrow." And we hung up the phone, and her mom called me at 12:30 and told me that Sophia had passed. And I took a kick to the gut, for lack of a better word, at that point.
And she was only 27, and she had a heart attack. Is that right?
Yeah, I had a heart attack. No indication of anything having been wrong before, nothing. It's one of those things where, unfortunately, we'll probably never know the reason. And I don't know at this point if it would make any difference if we did,
Well, I know there's many, 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 many great memories that you and Sophia had. And I know that she's the one. I mean, although you never got married, you had a ring, you never got to give it to her.
Yep.
But why is it that you've kind of resigned yourself to not finding love again? Why do you feel like it would be almost unfair to other people?
I talked to somebody about that this week, and I was telling a friend of mine, I said, sometimes I feel like it sounds stupid with me doing the same things that Sophia and I did. I go to the same gyms, I eat at the same restaurants, and, I enjoy the same things she and I did. But at the end of the day, I think I'm just not done with my relationship with Sophia. And I know that physically she's not sitting next to me, but spiritually and in so many other ways, I get so many signs and so many feelings and stuff that she is here. And, I tell people from so many different religions and backgrounds and beliefs, I don't care what you believe or where your background is or what you think is true. I promise you, there is more to life than what we see, on Earth on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And I'm just not done with her yet. I don't think she
may not be done with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly what I hope.
Well, you're a really good man, Kelly, and I know that there's many different funny stories related to what 222 represents. One being her badge number for her competition number for many times that she did well. But in her honor, you have created a foundation. What is it called?
It is 222 Muscle, the Sophia Graham Foundation.
Mm-hmm. And what I think is so special about it, which is why I wanted to just share this with our audience, is when you were in one of the worst times in your life, what got you back on track was getting into the gym and working out. And isn't that the premise of this foundation as well?
Yes. So our mission statement is to lift people who feel the weight of the world on their shoulders and provide improved mental health through the pursuit of physical strength. So we are the only nonprofit organization in the country that focuses on mental health through physical strength or physical activity. There's 1,000,001 mental health organizations and 1,000,002 physical, organizations, but there's really none that combine the two. And for me, it was just a natural transition. I want to provide other people what Sophia provided for me. And when she and I made the commitment to start working out and changing my physical that we had spoke about a few minutes ago, 6 months into that, as my physical got better, I was losing weight, feeling better about myself. All of a sudden I realized, hey, my mentals are getting better. You know, it wasn't a light switch. It wasn't very quick, but I noticed that. And I wanted to provide that to everybody else. So we raised money to provide gym memberships, personal training, gym equipment, anything that somebody needs who is going through a trauma or tragedy where they, like me, might not be able to afford that themselves.
I love that, Kelly. That's really, I mean, a lot of good purpose there and a lot of good doing. And today we're talking about, growing through what you go through. What does that phrase mean to you?
The tagline for Sophia and I, the business that we ran, we have a nutritional business, and the tagline was "Life's a sport, train for it." And the two of those kind of go together. I always said, life's a sport, train for it. You have to practice. You have to do what you have to do to be able to deal with the next day, kind of thing, just like you would if you were playing football or basketball or soccer. And the grow through what you go through is kind of an extension of that. You have to be able to take whatever it is life throws at you, hits you with, and grow through it. When I talk about failing forward, you have to be able to take whatever that, and failure could be in a million different ways. It could be, something as big as losing somebody, or something as simple as failing a test at school, but you have to be able to take whatever it is you're going through, internalize it, accept it, and then figure out how you take that step forward or grow to the next part. So either you're able to handle it better next time, maybe you're able to help other people handle it, or maybe it just never happens to you again, one of the two. That's kind of what the purpose is for that.
Well, and really, my next question I have for you, I don't ask this question in a painful way, but, the truth is you tried the gym once with the brothers and it didn't work out, and then you rallied and wanted to do it yourself and it didn't work out, and you had a really good relationship with that lady with the kiddos that her mom wrote you that beautiful email.
Yeah.
And then that unraveled, and then you found Sophia, and she passed away way earlier than she should have. But man, at some point, there's a lot of people that just say, well, that is just not fair. Or, Nancy and Kelly, rah, 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 shish, boom, ba, but I'm angry. Where do you put the anger?
Oh, I've got plenty of anger.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then he still has anger.
I don't think that part's ever going to go away, but I guess I kind of look at it as, what good does it do to act out on it? What am I going to do with this anger? I've talked to, religious people and people of the church that have told me, and I've explained to them, I said, sometimes I have a very difficult time with my faith because, of course, I'm angry at God. I'm angry at everybody. I'm angry at life. I'm angry at all of that. But it doesn't do me any good to focus on that anger. I would much rather be able to use that anger, honestly, in the gym. There's a lot of times where I'm working out where something will just, it'll get to me. I'll get emotional. I pull my hood up over my head. I got some tears running down my cheeks, and I just, push myself a little bit harder. I think I use the anger to help focus myself. It's one of the things that I want to use to grow the foundation and grow my leadership business. I think you just have to learn how to focus that anger. I think it's natural to have it. It's very natural for us to look and say, why were we dealt this, hand in life? But I always tell everybody, I have, friends that'll call me and say, oh, such and such happened, my cat died. And then I'll realize they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I know that's probably nothing to you. Well, no, that's absolutely something to me. Everybody goes through, walks a different path. Everybody has different stuff. Nobody's grief is less or more than somebody else's. Nobody's hand is worse or better. It's just we all get something. It's all kind of how we deal with it. It's certainly not what I wanted. And as you said in the beginning, I had a pretty phenomenal first 40 years of my life. So I look back at that and consider myself, pretty lucky.
Well, and you're in your 50s today, so, reset it again at 80 for another 40 good years. No, I'm kidding. Well, Kelly, I got to tell you, I am just really proud of you. And for everybody listening, this is all really still fresh with Sophia because I know this was quite recent. And, you know, I love Hallmark and love songs. And so I just think you keep doing that dance with her and whatever brings you peace. And I'm proud of you for all that you're doing for others, those memberships and all that you're doing with the foundation. So thank you again for sharing your story today. And for everybody listening, just like Kelly, if you have an inspirational story, we'd love to hear from you. Go to connect@livingfullout.com. Let us know, of course, your contact info and what you went through and what you learned, because you know, growing through what you go through, it's not just a mantra, it's real. And we would love nothing more than to learn how you got through the hardest times in your life so that you could go out there and live full out in an amazing way. Once again, thank you so much, Kelly Kirk, and we'll be right back.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
When it comes to growing through what you go through, I get it, right? The days are long, the to-do list doesn't get shorter, but you want to find a way to get outside of your comfort zone. Find a way to move that line a little bit further, extend it, or you know what? Even erase it. Because really, sky's the limit. Whatever it is that you want, you can grow to achieve it. You can be living full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a professional motivational speaker, Nancy can assist you to blow through your setbacks and start living full out. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Once again, here's Nancy.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. And today we've been talking about growing through what you go through. And honestly, I really love that entire phrase. I'm a big fan of mantras and affirmations, and everybody should have their own, right? Your go-to. Pick your top 5 or your top 3. And I know for many people, that is a common phrase. And it's so great because we know we're going to go through stuff. We know we're going to have heartbreak. We know we're going to have those dun, 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 dun days when it's just heavy. But at the same time, what I live for is the opportunity to grow. Like, I really hope that every month I'm a better Nancy than the month before. I hope that in reflection at the end of a year before the next, I can look back and say, gosh, you know, I'm really proud of myself for that. I think that the words that we say to ourselves is so important. That's a large part of our ability to grow, is what you say to yourself in your own mind and what you say out loud, maybe when you're in the car by yourself, but also how you talk to other people. Are you someone that's choosing to stay in victim mode and poor's me and this is a problem and that's a problem? I'll tell you what, I talk to a lot of people, whether it be on this show, my coaching programs, beyond. And the people that are always negative, that's kind of hard to be around all the time. I mean, I'm a good sport. I'm very positive. And for a lot of people, I will sit there and I will listen. But while I'm listening and I'm trying to really give them the best advice I can, I just wish I could help release them, free them from the languaging of what they're saying to themselves or saying to me, just that negative self-talk. I also think sometimes we have to embrace change. I know for me, going legally blind has not been a walk in the park. I had to give up driving in my early 20s and then, of course, learned how to use the cane. And I was never really a great cane user, but I did. And then now I have my guide dog, Frost. And it's interesting, I had to go through those phases of vision loss and learning those new skills in order to grow into having my guide dog Frost. And you have to be of a certain level of legal blindness to qualify for a guide dog. You just can't get one. And when I'm cruising around town and Frost is taking the lead, you know, it's so liberating. I mean, I feel like there's nothing we can't do. We go running on the beach. And, you know, the other day I was giving Frost a wash outside and someone was like, oh, that's so sweet. I'm like, yep, just wash in the car. Not that Frost is a car, but I'm just saying he is such a loyal companion. I mean, we go on dates together, you name it. The other thing I want to touch on too that I think is really important is when I think about my environments over the years and the people I've hung out with, I think sometimes we feel like we can't let go of friendships. We feel like, you know, we have to constantly keep as many people in our orbit as possible. And after the pandemic and after, you know, so many different twists and turns of life, I've noticed that I can't give the best of Nancy to everyone. Now, I will send people texts and emails and kind of do, a yearly check-in. But, I really want to make sure that I have really in-depth, really good, loyal friendships. And so, for me, time and energy is just that. It's making sure that I have enough to give away to others, enough to give to myself to continue my own growth, and also, enough to give to future dreams and efforts. So when you're thinking today about, okay, Nancy, this phrase of growing through what I go through, you want to look at where you are right now. What are you going through? What is that heartbreak you're facing? What is that job transition you're going through? And then what can you learn from that? Are you learning that you're an organized person? Are you learning that you're resourceful? Are you learning that you're dedicated and you're putting in the effort day in, day out to get the result that you want? Are you finding that you're someone that keeps replaying a soundtrack in your mind, conversations over and over again? Someone that having a hard time letting go, scared of the future, scared of the what if? I personally love the what if. I would rather see what's behind door number 3 rather than staying stuck behind door number 1, unhappy, or like, it's a second choice is a second choice. I'd rather roll the dice like I'm in Vegas and say, I'll take door number 3 and let's go. And so again, you have to ask yourself, where are you in some ways holding yourself back? Today is the day that you let go of those and you just take that big leap of faith forward. Might have sweaty palms, might have a nervous giggle, laughter, might cry a bit, but it's those leaps in life that get us to where we want to go. When we play small, when we play safe, it's just that. It's easy. But when you take that leap of faith, when you trust yourself, when you trust God, when you are willing to give it your all, guess what? You're living full out. I am so proud of all of you and can't wait to stand beside you every step of the way in your journey. Looking forward to talking and seeing you soon in the next show. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is Living Full Out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Here's to you, Living Full Out.